we're making a very special cake. It's a new chocolate cake recipe, a new frosting recipe, and a new layering technique. Do not be intimidated by all those layers. I promise you it's super easy, not to mention amazingly delicious. So the cake we're making today is a chocolate sponge cake. We're using a sponge cake because sponge cakes have a sturdier structure than butter cakes. I have an entire video dedicated to cake science, and I'll leave it in the description box below. To my egg yolks, I've added the melted butter and whole milk, and you want to give these a quick mix just until they're combined. Go ahead and add the dry ingredients, which I have sifted prior to filming this video. You always want to sift dry ingredients, especially if you're using cocoa powder and if you're making sponge cakes. Mix these ingredients together, making sure to not overmix the batter. Sponge cakes have very little fat content, so it's crucial you do not overmix the dry ingredients. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and click the bell. I post new videos every week. Set this aside, and in this other bowl, I have some egg whites. I'm adding a few drops of lemon juice. This will stabilize your egg whites, or you can use cream of tartar. You're going to whip these up, and once they start to become foamy, you can start adding the sugar, a few tablespoons at a time. Continue mixing. The egg whites will start to incorporate lots of air, quadruple in volume, and once they become glossy and reach stiff peaks, the meringue is ready. You're going to fold it into your cake batter. I do like to initially add 3 big dollops of the meringue with a whisk. This will loosen the mixture, and it will be easier to fold in the remaining egg whites using a spatula. Pour the cake batter in 2 baking sheets lined with parchment paper. Sponge cakes, as I said, have very little fat content, so you do want to make sure you grease the parchment paper as well so they don't stick. We're using 2 different size baking sheets today. One pan will be slightly bigger than the other because we will be cutting out 4 cake sponges from the bigger sheet and 2 from the smaller sheet. You'll see what I mean by this in just a moment. Just keep in mind that the bigger sheet pan will obviously need more cake batter. Bake the cakes in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius or 340 Fahrenheit for around 10 to 12 minutes. Now, because we're baking both cakes together, one cake may be done before the other. So check them after 10 minutes. If they need more time, bake them longer. Just to give you an idea, my smaller cake baked for exactly 10 minutes and the bigger one for 12. Allow the cakes to cool completely, release them from their pan with the help of a spatula, and cut the smaller cake in 2 and the bigger one in 4 pieces. Do not stress if some cake strips are bigger than others because we will be trimming away the edges later on. Now, if you've seen my cake science video, you know that sponge cakes have delicate flavors compared to butter cakes. So this cake needs a rich and decadent frosting. The frosting we're making today is a new type of ganache, which I've never shown you guys. You're going to heat up some cream. And in this other bowl, I have some good quality dark chocolate. I also have some cocoa powder, and we're also going to add some butter. The cocoa powder, besides adding a deeper chocolate flavor, it will also help thicken this frosting. Allow the cream to come to a simmer, but do not let it boil, and pour it over the chocolate. Let this stand for around 30 seconds and then stir. The hot cream will melt the chocolate and butter and bloom the cocoa powder. Now, because this frosting has a higher cream to chocolate ratio than other ganache recipes, it will take more time to set up. So do not panic if after an hour it's still quite runny. You can pop this in the fridge to speed things up. However, do keep an eye on it because ganache goes completely firm in the fridge. What I prefer to do, and my advice to you, is to make the frosting the day before, cover it, and leave it on my kitchen counter overnight. And I will write more tips for you guys in the description box, and I highly recommend you read those tips. This is how beautiful and creamy and smooth this frosting will become. It really is the star of this recipe. Now let's talk for a moment, okay? What I love about this cake is that you don't need any special pan or mold to make it. All you need is a basic cookie sheet. And assembling it is super easy. Anybody can make this cake, guys. The presentation will look beautiful, but there's really little effort required. I'm really trying to convince you guys to make it because it's so amazing. Now, a few tips. You don't want to refrigerate this cake. As I said, ganache will set completely in the fridge, and we absolutely do not want that for a sponge cake. Once you get to the last layer, take a hot spatula or a hot cake scraper and smooth the top. This will give your cake a beautiful shine. But if you want to enhance that beautiful shine even more, you can brush the top with some chocolate syrup. And I've shown you how to make chocolate syrup in the past. Now, because we made this cake without a mold, to get a beautiful, clean presentation, you're going to cut the sides with a hot knife. This isn't necessary, but if you're making this cake for a party or a special occasion, you might want to do that. And no, those cuts did not go to waste, guys. Every single bit of that cake was eaten that day. How incredible, guys, does this look? You've seen how easy it was to achieve all these stunning layers. Not only do I think this cake looks so beautiful, but it's so comforting. I really hope you'll make this one for your friends and family. They will love it.